goes. Oh.
Yo, welcome to another edition of the Geeky Bros podcast. I'm your boy Tactix.
Yo, it's just Darcy.
And this is Big Geek Umar in the back seat where I don't belong.
Wow, that just got awkward real fast.
Yeah.
But I'm also in the bitch seat too, so this is like a...
Wow! Bro, this guy got intense. Yo, so this is a nightly edition of the Geeky Bros podcast.
a very special style.
Yeah, very creeper-esque. So, Umar, why are we here?
So, we just finished watching Dune, the Denis Villeneuve version from 2021. We did it mostly because we wanted to do it as bros, but also we wanted to see how these bros like the sci-fi. Now, the big question here for previous podcasts is that whether Tactix like sci-fi or not, or I guess we could say space sci-fi. And also, we just need to review this movie because this movie's awesome.
It didn't matter if I watched it. He just tapped me on the shoulder. And if he watched it.
We all got to review it.
Fair.
So, so now that it's finally happened, and I finally get to ask the questions, bros, what'd you think? Darcy, let's start with you first.
I enjoyed the film. I do like space sci-fi stuff, and by the end it got really good. It was a little bit it was hard to follow in the beginning and I appreciate the fact that they're not giving a ton of exposition most of the time when you have a book and it's big and it's got a lot of detail and you gotta explain it for everybody, and they didn't go down a path where it's once we start the exposition train, it never stops. But at the same time, I felt in the dialogue I would needed a little bit more. There was just a lot of universe stuff and otherworldly council stuff that you never see anything of, and it's referenced so it's not tangible. But at the same time, for everything I did see, I liked the universe felt Star Wars-esque, but not in a cartoony way, or in a it felt way more tangible.
Star Wars, not Game of Thrones?
It is like Game of Thrones in what's happening in the story.
Okay.
But Game of Thrones doesn't have a intergalactic universe. And so the Star Wars vibe for me was just there's a person outside of this car right now. It looks like he's gonna hit my car, so it's a little distraction.
I didn't even see the space bar there. I was like, what are you backing up into, bro?
Let me just bring in my rearview mirrors. This person's a bad driver.
Very bad driver.
Yeah.
It's an 8-point turn.
Yeah, 8-point reverse. Okay, if you hear a crash, you know where it came from.
Oh, shit. Yo, he's hella close, bro.
Yo, okay, you know what? Okay, we're gonna be good now. So now they're gonna look at us what the fuck are they doing? The Star Wars piece, I don't know, there's just something big in the world that that helped me feel to understand the concepts of what was happening. The thing that really got me by the end of it, though, is Timothy's character is getting all these premonitions, but then one of these big premonitions that he has, where there's this character that he's having these dialogue with, can I spoil stuff at this point?
Yeah.
He has to kill the guy, and he never gets this future state where they're buddies. And I like how it's I feel like he's getting premonitions from a multiverse kind of idea, where it's he's pulling from all of these different places because he's supposed to be connected to space. So he's getting from this multiverse, and he's getting these lessons, and he's seeing himself die in situations, and then he's able to avoid it. It's I want to say it's he's getting a bit of this multiverse like Marvel has, but he's learning it almost like Naruto with shadow clones, where it's they're all getting the different experience. He's pulling himself from of the multiverse, and he's able to then change the course of time in where he's living. And that intrigued me by the end, and then at the end of the film, I'm all right, I want to see the second film. After the slower, difficult start, which wasn't bad, it was just very artistic and not explaining itself. By the end, I was all right, I'm really enjoying this. I want to see a second one. That's my whole review there. I talked a lot.
I want to ask, so out of 10, how would you rate this?
Ooh, good question. You know, I'm not usually a big fan of when it gets super artsy because it gets boring for me, but I actually appreciated the art in this film. I'm gonna have to go with a 7 out of 10.
Okay.
It was overall. I enjoyed the film. The Tactix is ready to go.
Oh man,
I enjoyed it. The end got me hyped. Like I wanted to see more. I wasn't ready to put it down, kind of a thing. And there's just a lot of like really interesting things that it was building on. You know, I feel like this is a kind of film though where like I'm gonna see this one, and I'm not gonna rewatch it. I'm gonna wait for more films, and then I'll probably only ever see the whole series once, but I definitely want to see more of the series. And maybe as it progresses, maybe it'll make me want to watch some things more in succession. But I don't know. I feel like a 7 for me.
okay. T.
I want to watch whatever movie you watch. I don't share that sentiment at all. I did not like this movie. I got my popcorn. I was getting ready. You know, I went in with like zero expectations because I had no idea what the movie was about. Really, this guy really didn't explain it at all. So I was kind of just going in blind. Got my popcorn ready. I'm like, all right, hang with the boys. It's gonna be at least a decent film that I can just kick back and enjoy. Maybe there's gonna be some pretty good fight scenes or whatever. Eating my popcorn, waiting for stuff to happen. It's just a whole bunch of, dialogue that I have no idea. For one, certain scenes I couldn't even hear what they were saying, and then when I could hear, they were speaking some jargon that I had no understanding of. I felt like I walked in at on a calculus class, and I was like, okay, I'm in the wrong class. I don't know what's going on right now. And then there were moments where I was just like drifting off to sleep. As soon as I finished my popcorn, I was like, oh yeah, okay. So, yeah, I mean,
So the fighting didn't get you at all?
No, not even. I wasn't even impressed with the fighting. I've seen a lot better, and I was like,
what? I have seen a lot worse too.
Yeah, but I've seen a lot. But it's not even on the level of the Mandalorian. Like that's the kind of fighting I was expecting, and I didn't even get that. It just felt very incomplete for me.
Interesting.
I found it very intimate.
I felt opposite of that.
Yeah, me too.
I don't know. It didn't grip me. Like even like the last fight scene between Timothy and
Jameis, you didn't feel that?
No, it was subpar for me.
I would say that like the one thing.
What was great about it?
Like the hand movements, and also like how quick they were going, and also like it wasn't like overtly dramatic.
But I wanted it to be overtly dramatic. That was my issue.
This guy needed Fast 9 in space, okay?
I just like what? Okay, what would you compare it to in terms of fight scenes?
Like all the fight scenes, because hold on. What about the Duncan like Aquaman, like when he was taking on the Sardaukar?
It's all right, but again, I've seen better.
So I had like two thoughts on the fighting. Like one, I liked the hand combat, the style, the what they choreographed. I thought that was actually smart, and it was a bit different. I will say that there's like, it's well shot, and most of the time they do give a lot of room for the actual fighting, but they do have a bit of editing cuts that I feel like
Agreed.
that like sometimes would take it out a little bit, take you out of the moment a little bit. One thing I really liked though was this shield that they had.
Yeah.
Because it made a very strong visual for like it's this like blue covering shield that like when you try to hit somebody, it's like vibrating and protecting them from you getting the force all the way through. And when you got into a danger zone and you were about to land a killing blow, it would go red. And like that was just really smart from a visual effects like choreo kind of perspective, because it made it very clear to the audience like a lot of information, while at the same time being an actual visual effect that's just like cool to look at. I liked it. I like the style of it. Sometimes the cuts might be a little bit, but overall I had no problem with it.
Okay, so
I had a lot of problems with it.
So you did not like the shield fight.
So I liked I liked it when it was first introduced, when it was between what's his name?
Josh Brolin.
Josh Brolin, thank you. And yeah, when they
training.
were training for the. Can I finish?
Yeah, you think he's like, this man's a madman?
Ventriloquist over here?
Yo, where's that one hand?
But yeah, like when they started fighting, I really enjoyed that. But then after, it kind of just went downhill for me in terms of the fight choreography. And I agree. Like I think it was the cuts for me that kind of took me out of the moment. Like they were just so quick, and I just like I wish that they would just hang on the shots a little bit more so you get a full scope of the fighting. But yeah, it wasn't choppy in the sense of like certain movies where they do like the jump cuts. It wasn't like that, but it just like I felt like certain angles could have been better in terms of us seeing a fully fleshed out fight. Yeah, so for me it kind of took it away. It took away the element of the fight for me. So
you know what it is like good fight choreography is supposed to tell a story, and if you don't shoot the right angle, you can pull them out of the story. And if you edit too much, you can pull them out of the story. And so, like for instance, a training sequence had a really good story because it's the kid's not taking it seriously, and he's got to like really prove a point that like things are about to get very real and very very bad very quickly. And then other times that they emphasize the coolness factors, or like they were just emphasizing things that didn't quite fully tell the story. Like for instance, like Aquaman Duncan's stuff, it was really good, but they could have. There's a little bit there that like they could have hung on a little bit more, made pulled out his final death a little bit more. Like he just kind of fell at the end.
Everything was so anticlimactic. It was like I wanted a little bit more.
So there was nothing about the movie that you enjoyed?
No, it had moments. Like I really enjoyed the villain, and I was kind of concerned because I was like, yo, if they kill this guy off, like because when they supposedly killed him, I was like, oh man, okay, I'm all the way checked out of this movie now. Like there's no way you're gonna get me to watch a second sequel. But he's good. He's in his little
that
villain, his little bath, just chilling. So
the little bath, a bath full of like black liquid goo. That villain is disgusting.
Oh, you have no idea.
Oh, I could tell it's gonna get more.
Yeah.
Like it's just like his body, how much he's the epitome of like greed, power, like gluttony. Yeah, that's what I was trying to think of right there. Like 7 deadly sins is like built into this one human. Just like the stuff in his back, how he floats, and he's like this giant freaking thing. And like for a while, it was like, does he have ridiculously long legs and he's walking, and like that? It's just like that's his species, or is it like he's floating? And I'm like, he's probably just floating. Yeah, and then it turns out he was floating. But like, yeah, oh my god.
I did want more though. I think he's a solid villain, and I do want to see more of him. But I felt like from what they gave us, I felt like certain scenes could have been more grotesque, like him eating, like the gluttonous aspect of it. I felt like they could have like pushed the envelope a little bit more with that. And then when he killed that guy, like he did it off camera, so it was kind of like, okay, like I actually wanted to see that. You know what I mean? Show me the stuff. Don't make it implied.
I got a question for you, because I feel like some of that stuff you say, like they showed off scene, the gluttonous aspect, how much this is like an artsy film. It's 2.5 hours. I kind of feel like this was shot at like a 3:15 kind of movie and edited down, maybe some of it to make it a little bit more like PG, because maybe some of that stuff I feel like could have been a little like they could have, the way some of the cuts were, like there could have been more that was left out just to like make sure it was more commercial focused,
that's what
that success. And I'm wondering if we get like a director's cut version, if it would flesh it out a little bit more for you, because it would let certain things hang a
possibly
little longer.
Yeah.
Well, what do you guys think of the worms or like the Fremen?
Oh my god, those things are awesome. Fucking awesome.
Again, I wanted more though. I'm like, everything just seems so implied. Like,
okay,
you know what I mean? Like,
okay. So 2 more questions. One, would you see the sequel?
I gotta see a trailer, man.
Fair enough. Fair enough.
And Umar's pressure. And
Let me put it this way. I know the story, So I know that the second part of this story, you guys, well, you're especially going to vibe with more because it's like it's all action coming forward. Like it's like the time for the war sort of thing. And the second question I wanted to ask you is, what would you rate this out of 10? I know this is gonna hurt me, but I needed to ask.
Yo, honestly, I'm gonna say a 4.
What?
Yeah.
He wasn't ready.
Oh, I wasn't ready for that. I expected a 5, maybe a 6.
I was waiting for a 3, so I got the better end of it.
Okay,
Yeah.
so officially we know that Tactix is not
this is
really
not
a
my-
sci-fi.
this is not my
not
shit,
space
man.
sci-fi guy.
It's not much. Like I was hoping because you were like you compared it to Eternals in terms of not so much storyline, but in terms of like how I was going to respond to it. So I was waiting for that because like with Eternals, and I don't want to spoil it for Darcy, but it was exactly how you said it. It was like in the beginning I was like, I'm not feeling it, and then it gets to the middle, I'm like, oh okay, and then at the end I'm like, I don't know. Like, but then I ended up enjoying it. So I thought it was gonna be like this because in the beginning I was like, not feeling it, and then in the middle, not feeling it, and in the end I'm like, oh okay, and then it ended, and I was like, okay, and now I really don't know how I feel, but I'm like, yeah, this is a 4 for me.
Oh, see, I thought the middle part, like once they started like getting exterminated, I thought that's when you'd like perk up.
Like when they
start getting attacked.
But even then, I was kind of like, I don't know, man. It was just kind of like, it just happened. And I was like, I'm not even caught off guard. Like, I just like, y'all should have been ready for this.
The thing was that they were preparing for this. It's just that there were 2 big mistakes they made. One, they thought they had more time. And 2, they knew that the Emperor was going to like let it happen. They didn't know that he was actually going to help make it happen.
Yeah, it wasn't clear to me that he helped make it happen, other than the implied factors of like, well, when it happened, I'm like, yeah, of course he let it happen. Right, or helped it happen, but
the starter card, like the ones dressed in white with like the blood, that's his army.
yeah, I had no idea that.
Oh, okay.
I don't even know who this Emperor is. Like, I haven't shown anything about it. Like, I was intrigued through the first, first 2 acts of the film. And I was intrigued in trying to just pick up on the information. The third act is really what got me.
Yeah.
But, like, I will say that, like, you know, the issues of like, the first 2 acts, you know, like, I feel what Tactix is saying. I just feel like the only difference is like, I was still yet like intrigued by a lot of it, and again I reference this back to Star Wars. Over time, because of like Clone Wars and stuff like that, I've just spent more time like learning about the larger universe of Star Wars. And by all means, I'm like a 5% expert at this point. You know, like I don't know nothing, but that intrigue going into this is like, okay, I don't understand all of this stuff, but I'm intrigued by it. And then I hear the politics, I'm like, well, that feels familiar. You know, all these big roads, that feels familiar. The big worms, that feels familiar. Like the Mandalorian had a big worm.
Yeah.
so there's a lot of things that I'm like I kind of was like maybe using my frame of reference of understanding Star Wars and like kind of like putting this thing into like different places in my brain. So I'm like, okay, I'm kind of piecing this together. Who the fuck is this Emperor? Is he like Palpatine? Is he not like Palpatine? Like, you know, like this is just kind of what's going through my head.
I would say actually like the Baron is more like Palpatine, and like the Emperor is just kind of like a like jealous bitch.
Now I'm trying to think of who that is in Star Wars.
All right, so like, it's just so now that like I can give my opinion. Like this is like an 8.5 for me, which is so it's like 8.5, 7, 4. I found this to like, I've read the source material. I've been a big fan of it since like, Jesus, for the last like 20 years. This is a really good adaptation. There are some problems I had with it. Like, for example, Lady Jessica, the mom, she's like way too weepy. She's like crying all the fucking time. I'm like, this girl's supposed to be like completely in control of her body and her emotions, and like she's crying all over the fucking time.
That actress is sketchy in every single movie she's in.
Yeah. They captured her sketchiness, which is I liked. I'm glad that she was able to get that, but like I expected her to be a little bit more like forceful. Also, her enunciation of like the biggest quotable line of Dune, it's like, I must not fear. Fear is the mind killer. I will face my fear and I will let it pass over me and through me. Like, she like whispered and mumbled that shit. I'm like, guys, this is the line. Everyone knows this line.
I didn't even hear that in the movie.
Yeah, see, and like if I didn't know what the line was, I wouldn't have been able to catch it because I'm like, what did she say? And so like her enunciation needed to be better. Paul, Timothy Chalamet did he's great. Paul, Oscar Isaacs killed it as Duke Leto. I actually felt bad for him, and like you could see that this guy was like trying to make this work, and it failed him. I didn't anticipate me liking Josh Brolin as much as Gurney Halleck, but he sold it on me because Gurney is supposed to be a guy who is like, he's quotable, he's like a poet, he's like a warrior poet, and also he was enslaved by the Harkonnen and was freed by Duke Leto as young. So like that's why he's like, they're brutal. He knows it. Like he has a scar on his face from them. And then we got I would actually say that Jason Momoa not only did a good Duncan, he actually exceeded the source material because Duncan kind of just like shows up. He kind of is supposed to be this like legendary warrior, and then he like dies. It was never supposed to be anything beyond that. Jason Momoa is like, yo, I'm a guy who everyone knows I can handle my shit, but also I'm friends with Paul, and I'm gonna go down fighting. And he took out like 20 Sardaukar, and they're supposed to be the most powerful force in the galaxy.
Yeah, I can see how he excelled at it because he has that big buddy kind of vibe all the time, so he just brought that to the role.
Yeah. I will say that like in terms of action, I was really happy with all the action except for showing the disparities between like each of the forces. Like they did a good job of showing which forces were which, but with the Sardaukar, they're supposed to be like, the Atreides army is supposed to be equal in capabilities as the Sardaukar. The only problem is the Sardaukar they're like 10 to 1. Like they outnumbered them 10 to 1. And with the Harkonnen, they're just supposed to be twice as many as Harkonnen versus Atreides, but like the Atreides are so well trained, those numbers mean nothing to them. So like when we had the fight on the stairs, you see the Atreides holding the line and like just like taking out wave after wave of the Harkonnen. But then the Sardaukar like sneak up behind them and kill them. I'm like, yo, that's not how they should have shown that. They should have shown the fact that like everyone backed away, they turned around, did the same thing to the Sardaukar, and the Sardaukar fucked them up. But like, so like those are like my small gripes. I loved the fact that they changed Dr. Kynes from a man to a woman. That was awesome, and she did a great job being Liette. I found Stilgar to be great. Like Javier Bardem killed it. I love the actor for Jameis. I'm sad that like they chose that actor for Jameis because like Jameis dies really quickly in the story. But the actor's the guy from The Defenders. He was the one who was like they had captured from like the hand. He was like one of the fingers of the hand, and he was like, "You're like the dumbest Iron Fist I've ever met." He was the one that had tied up in like the thing. You guys remember?
No.
That's fine. Anyway, so and like Zendaya didn't get a lot of time aside from being in dreams most of it. So like I'm looking forward to seeing
is how she normally is.
Yeah. But like I'm looking forward to seeing what she has going on for the next movie because now that the next movie has been greenlit, the next movie is like all warfare. Like you know the dream where he's like in that gold armor and like is fighting everybody.
Yo, I wanted that. That scene was sick. I was like,
that's
okay.
the entirety of the next movie.
I'm like, are we getting that anytime soon? Nope.
Well,
no.
Next movie we are.
Yeah. You know, when you just talked about the whole thing about the Sardaukar on the stairs and stuff like that, I'm like, yeah, that like I feel like if they had emphasized that kind of stuff, it would have made that battle a lot better. And I do agree with Tactix. It's like it just kind of happened, and they didn't really. It's like they were preparing for it, but it was implied. Like they were talking about like, oh, you know, a bunch of things, but it just kind of felt like it was moving, and they weren't really explaining themselves. I just gotta say, like, I don't know. I feel like I just ended up liking it more, not because that, like, that were issues. I just like there's something I just enjoyed, but there are a lot of problems in the early part of the film.
Yeah, like I'll say that my last complaint is that they didn't do a really good job of explaining some of the finer parts of stuff. Like for example, the spice. Actually, let me ask you guys right now. What do you guys think is the importance of the spice?
They said that it was
good on chicken.
They said for the people that was there, it was like a thing that helped them like live, but in space it was for like interstellar travel, and they had this like giant like cylindrical tube thing that when I looked at it I realized it was, instead of it being like, you know, where Star Trek and Star Wars have like, you know, some kind of like engine that boosts you through space, this was like literally like a window or like a black hole inside of like this thing, and this giant like portal basically, and you'd fly into it and then you just come out the other side and you'd be in another part of the galaxy. So it seemed like the spice was what they had to mine so that they could actually do these types of things and fuel their ships and stuff like that.
Did you get that? Like when you're watching it?
I understood like 37% of that.
Okay. So my problem is
That's
like
a very specific percentage.
it's yeah, it's more than a third. Anyway, so for me, like the spice is not only supposed to like help with interstellar, like essentially that's interstellar travel for them. It changes the people's perspectives and also abilities as well. Like, you know, the guy whose eyes went backwards when he was like calculating stuff.
Yeah.
They kind of need that too to be the way they are, because like computers they don't have computers at all, because they had to wipe out an AI. And the AI nearly wiped them out, like destroyed all of humanity. So they swore never to make computers again. So guys like those with like the thing on their lip, they're like human computers. Like they calculate to that level, and they use the spice to help them do that.
Oh shit.
The Bene Gesserit, like the sisterhood, they're able to like control every like muscle in their body, and also that like the mothers have as much power to like choose the gender of their children.
Okay.
And that's all from the spice also.
I picked up on that, and that's why I leaned over and I was like, am I confirming here? I asked him like in the movie, I'm like, she can choose the gender of her child?
Yeah, because I remember she was like, yeah, you were supposed to give birth to a daughter or something like that.
And you had a son, and I'm like woman to woman. Normally, you don't shame each other for the gender that comes out the womb. So clearly, they have some kind of control over this.
Yeah. And also, what did you guys think of the voice?
The what?
The voice, like when they would be able to control people.
Oh, yeah, that's kind of cool.
Yeah.
Okay, I definitely need to ask this. What did you guys think of the scene with the box? Actually, T, let me ask you that one first. The one where she was like, put your hand in the box.
Oh, yeah. That, so it had me there. Like I was kind of interested in that. I was like, oh, that's pretty cool. And then yeah, it lost me again.
Okay.
Yeah.
Darcy?
Yeah, I thought it was cool. Like I liked how it was like he went from pain to leaning into it.
Yeah.
And there's like the will of it, and also the like, it's like he almost enjoyed it to some degree in a weird way. Like I don't know,
it's like almost like he was taunting her or something.
I don't know how to say this, because like I've had situations in my life where like you have to like lean into pain, and when you lean into it, it's not that you actually enjoy it, like not like a sadist, but it's like, yeah, it's like taunting her, and it's like
daring her to like do more.
Yeah, and you have to almost enjoy it in the moment to make it become not painful. It's almost like you're enjoying the winning.
It's an actual condition. I forgot what it's called, but they do it all the time in Eastern cultures, where they do standing meditation, but they have their arms up like this, and you hold this position for like an hour. And at first,
when you use the other arm, no one can see that.
So you go like this, and you basically hold your arm out. I forget what the condition is, but eventually your body goes through a process of like tremoring, and it's like a stress response to the pain or the sensation of pain that you feel from holding your arms up. And you go from that sensation of tremor, like the tremor, to a state of bliss where your mind kind of like goes into another state, almost like a flow state, and you kind of like, you start to feel like a really good or euphoric sensation afterwards, right? So I felt like that's what he was kind of channeling when he did that, to kind of help to distract his mind from the pain that he was feeling. But like, what was the purpose of?
So like the whole thing is like, so did you guys understand about the Kwisatz Haderach? Okay, so that was awesome. I'm glad we got that on camera. So the mom was supposed to have daughters only, And the daughters are like, by this point you're supposed to know in the books, like the daughter of Duke Leto was to be married to the Harkonnen heir, so that they could have a child who would be a male, and that male would be the Kwisatz Haderach, which is the chosen one, who not only does he have perfect memory of everything in his genealogy that has ever happened, and since they had been like specifically doing breeding programs for thousands of years, moving from one family to another, getting other types of bloodlines. Once the Kwisatz Haderach had come, he basically have all knowledge of all of human existence, and also then be able to see the future as well, so that he would have all previous and post knowledge, and for them to be able to course correct all of humanity. And that's what the test was, to see if he was someone who was chosen. And that's why she was talking about, like, if you were an animal with these abilities, you inherit too much power. So that's why she tested him. She actually went there to kill him. Her plan was to actually kill him. She was surprised that he survived, and she actually let him go for a long time. He endured more pain than any human child has ever experienced.
And so, is it psychological pain that he feels when he puts his hand in the box? Or?
No, they actually implant, like, they're just like little bits that go into his nerve endings.
Yeah.
And it just like makes him feel like his hand is being burned alive.
Oh, is that why he had the visions of the?
Yeah.
Okay.
But also, she realized she awakened something when, because not only was he was seeing visions, but also seeing burning, and that's why she asked him, like, do you always see things? Do they play out exactly how you see them? And he was like, not exactly. So she's like, it's too early for him.
Is it, would we mean by too early, like when he gets closer to the end of his life, he will see things exactly clearly?
No, more in the sense of, like, he hasn't been able to, because I really like what you were saying. He was seeing probabilities, not different universes, but just probabilities. When he's ready, he will be able to. What's going on over here?
Someone's trying to find their car, and they're beeping it, or they're trying to find the person who left them in the car. Either one.
Yeah, I don't see anyone in the car. But anyway, so like when he's ready, he will be able to see like the true path of the future.
Maybe they're sitting on their keys in the theater.
I don't know.
Because this thing is going beep, 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 like nonstop.
But yeah, so all right, T. All right. Well, I do know that you will actually enjoy the second one if you like the bits of parts that you did. I don't know.
Is she blinking her? Is she putting the horn on and she's right beside the car? Like,
I don't know. Anyway, so yeah, I think you'll like the second one better. If
I hope so, man. I can't do another 2.5 hours of that shit, man.
but it was better than, like, okay, would you say this is better than Fast 9?
I knew that was gonna be the comparison. That's an interesting comparison.
Man,
Oh, seriously?
That is hard.
that is hard because Fast 9 is a terrible movie, but it had a lot of like enjoyable bits in it.
A lot of family.
And a lot of family, man. That movie had heart, bro. It's a Shakespeare of our time.
Wow.
But that is a good comparison. I don't know. It's hard to say, man.
Fast 9's like elementary school Shakespeare.
Yeah, it is.
Oh, this is the guy who owns the car. They were driving around in another car in the parking lot, and he was beeping it, trying to find his car.
All right, cool.
How do you not know he parked his car?
Yeah, how do you lose
It's not that big of a parking
Yeah.
lot.
It's like we're parked right down the center in the front of the theater. Like, it's not like we're off the side somewhere like in the corner parking lot. It's literally you walk out straight forward and go 6 parking spots from the entrance. And this guy's like, let me just click this button 35 times
Not
to
even
try
that.
to find the
He's
car.
like, not even that. He's like, yo, someone drive me around so I can blink this shit and find, like, we can find it. Like, he was going through the aisles like trying to find his car.
Where is my car? In front and center. I don't know where that is.
Like, how did you forget that?
Yo, like, is this guy safe to drive home?
Yeah.
Where's my house? Just drives into people's like things, like knocks on the door. Oh, I don't live here. I'm sorry.
All right, so I think we've definitively proven the Tactix is fine with sci-fi in worldly settings, or AKA a world setting, but the moment you get off world and throw in politics and different style of shield fights, we lose them.
Yeah, I don't even like politics in real life,
Fair.
let alone movies. So
It's better in movies than in real life.
yeah. So,
Yeah.
but
So no to the politics. You were not feeling the whole emperor stick.
nah. I checked out. I didn't even know what was going on. Like, what was? Like, I didn't know what the war was about. I was just kind of like waiting for like shit to happen, and nothing happened until like, the very end.
They definitely they kept referencing this higher thing and never showed anything of it, and they didn't even give exposition about it. Like it's bad enough when you give a lot of exposition and never show something.
Yeah.
It's also bad when you don't give exposition and don't show it, but you reference it.
Yeah, and that's the thing. That's another thing. It was like I felt like like at least with Star Wars, like especially like the prequels, like the 1 through 3.
Yeah.
Like a lot of exposition, right? I appreciated it because at least I had an understanding of what was going on, even though they're terrible films. With this, it was kind of like I was waiting for that, and it was just kind of like they assume that I know what the fuck is going on, and then they just kind of gloss over.
It's very much geared for like you read the books before you came here,
yeah,
right?
Yeah, I will agree with that.
And it's like I appreciate that in the perspective of okay, like they are expecting that the like 100% of everyone watching this film has read the books, and that's their audience, and they have a lot of people read the books. But you also made it so visually damn cool that other people gonna show up.
Yeah.
So if you're gonna make it that damn visually cool, you
Like,
might want to explain a little.
I felt like
bit.
I should have sat beside you because there were times where I was gonna turn to Darcy. I'm like, he probably doesn't know. This motherfucker didn't read it.
If he started this would have been the film. Yo, Darcy, yo, Umar,
Yeah.
yo, Tynan, like it's like back and forth.
Oh man.
Oh man, I actually kind of wish I sat in the middle now because
You should have, bro.
That was awesome.
Yeah, then this would have been Umar's whole experience.
Yeah.
It's like
Okay.
man got come out with the movie with whiplash.
See, let me ask you this, without giving spoilers because Darcy hasn't seen it. Why did you enjoy Eternals more than this?
Because they actually explained shit. Yeah. I was like, okay, I'm following. I don't know the entire lore of these characters, but I get what's going on. I get what the Celestials are trying to do and that whole thing and what the villain's motive was. I'm like, okay, I'm following, right? And it had me. Like at first, like I said, like at first it was like a roller coaster, and then eventually it kind of was just like, all right, yeah, I enjoy that.
So the first 45 minutes of both films, you were checked out.
Well,
I'm bad.
because I had no idea what I had no reference for these characters. I had no context. I didn't know who they were. So I was going in blind, watching the movie, and I'm like, oh, okay, like this is totally not like the Avengers, right? And then like, because that's what I was going in there, like, cause they set it up, they referenced the Avengers and stuff, but nah, it wasn't like that at all. So I was like, okay, I'm not gonna like this movie. What the fuck is Umar talking about? And then I was like, oh no, okay, I guess he's right. It's up and down for me. This was just kind of like, it starts off like, it's like a roller coaster that goes up, and then it's just like, oh, technical difficulties.
We're gonna take you right back down.
Yeah.
That was great. Technical difficulty.
So yeah, so I was like, okay.
All right. Well, unless you guys have any final thoughts.
Nah, my battery's dead.
Okay. Well, T, you want to end us off?
Yeah, this has been another edition of a Geeky Bros podcast, the car edition.
The slightly Halloween edition, which is just Darcy here.
And this is Backseat Umar. Take care.
Backseat.
Oh,
Where did
that's
that come
just
from, bro? This
that's
ain't
just
Bang Bros, bro.
so wrong,
I
bro.
thought of it on a moment. I'm like, might as well just say it and see what you guys react to. Not well, apparently.
No, not well at all.